Well, during a project, different types of formal presentations take place. Even before the project is launched, the project idea and its added value need to be presented to management and kind of sold to management. And the success of this presentation is often key in the decision. At the beginning of a project, normally the project manager invites all project team members and some of the stakeholders to a kickoff meeting. An important goal of this session is to motivate all concerned parties to support the project and to contribute to it. And finally, on a regular basis, the project manager reports the status of the project, any problems encountered, solutions found, and issues that need to be decided by the decision makers to a project steering committee. And this kind of formal presentation also is quite important. So let's take each of these types of project presentations, one after the other, and start with the meeting where a project request is presented and sold to management.
All right, let's do it.
Perfect. Well, to give a bit of context, most institutions have implemented a formal process to review and approve project ideas, the goals and the expected benefits. The project needs to be explained. The resources are estimated and the cost calculated. A time plan is presented and so on. Often, as the last step in this process, the project sponsor or the future project manager are invited to present in front of a project selection board and kind of sell the project to this decision body. The impact he or she has in this moment can be decisive. Thomas, you are very familiar with this kind of situation since as a presentation consultant and coach, you need to sell your work to your clients. What are the main elements of advice that you would give in order to make a strong and positive impression and to win the approval of the project selection board?
You mentioned one key word earlier. You said the sponsor of the project will be there. Yep. Yes, make sure he is there and he is fully supporting this initiative.
Okay.
Many times this is forgotten.
Yep.
Sponsor's role is super important. So it's not just you as a project manager, it's the sponsor who has the ultimate responsibility for this project. He will be looking good if you do a great job as the project manager, or he will be looking badly. So you want to make him look good.
Sure.
Now, it's also his responsibility to look good because he needs to be around and support this initiative. He needs to be there for you if you have questions. Now, that's one key here. The other key is, please don't forget that we are in a political body.
Yeah.
A project takes place within a larger context.
Mm-hmm.
So you have not just this project taking place, but you have several people who might be influenced, or most likely will be influenced by the project, be it while it takes place and then whatever the outcome of the project is.
Exactly.
And ideally, of course, you have several of these people in this body who will decide whether to go forward or not, that will have a benefit from the project. And this takes some political action beforehand already.
Okay.
In an ideal world, you will have convinced everybody in the room before the presentation takes place that this is the project that should be implemented right now. So they will be in favor of it. So try to convince people before they are there and the red lights are on.
Mm-hmm.
So the sponsor, of course, is a vital key person to do so, and so is the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer. He's the guy who will finance your project.
Exactly, yeah, true. Mm-hmm.
And as long as he's in favor, you are likely to get the green light to go ahead to do this project. to them to agree. Now, for them to agree, in addition, it helps if they feel confident that you are the right person to do this project.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do you feel confident about somebody to do something? Well, it's if somebody stands there with confidence.
Yeah.
If he speaks with a voice that is full of vibrato, who has a full voice, who doesn't continuously use filler words such as yes, I think we should, and he looks down and he's looking at his notes and he's reading as if we're at the funeral. Yeah, we're not.
Yeah.
Hopefully this project is something that will change the company to a positive outcome, or there will be a positive outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, make sure that people feel you're the right person to lead this project and to make it happen. So those are two aspects that I heavily recommend, or three aspects. One is the political landscape.
Yeah.
Who's in favor, who's against? How can you get those against to be also in the boat in favor of your project? Make sure that your sponsor is a key person in convincing others, and really supporting this, and not just your project being one of 50 and he's like, yeah, that's right, this project is also on my list, but I don't really know what it's about. Not good. And thirdly, you need to make an impression that you're the right person for this job.
I like the point where you recommend to present the project and to the members of this project selection board. This is kind of the first stage where the project manager establishes a personal relation with these people that he or she then will be using throughout the project. I like that. Yeah.
Ideally, it's not the first time they see you.
Yes.
Ideally, they've seen you before. Ideally, you've gone to lunch with these people.
Yeah.
This is not always possible, but if you can, think of it. And you've got to go for lunch anyway. Yeah, you gotta eat. So why not go eat with some of these key people?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Now, sometimes to be convincing, in addition to the tone, the voice, and the posture, there is also the possibility to to build a convincing storyline and to structure your presentation effectively. How would you do that? So what would be your recommendations here?
Well, the key is when you start, don't read your notes.
Okay.
I see it so often. So people bring a slide or they have his notes with them, and then what they do is they look to their notes and then they say something like, hello, I'm happy to be here.
Okay, not very natural.
Yeah, well, you don't need to read those two things, yeah? The welcome, you don't need to read, and the first thoughts, you don't need to read either. Ideally, you make eye contact. So this is also part of the confidence piece. The more eye contact you can make, the more you will make a confident impression on your audience. Having said that, the beginning of many presentations is unfortunately very boring. I hope to feel some excitement. And for most projects, this is possible.
Yes, right.
So please try to show some enthusiasm, some energy, some share with us an introduction, a first piece of this presentation that kind of gets our attention. These people have other things to do, and before you came in to give your presentation, they are likely to have had other people present, or they've had a discussion, or they have different thoughts on their mind right now. Now, you got to grab their attention and make sure they will now focus on your topic, on your project.
Yeah, correct.
So when you start, try to get their attention with something. This can be a quote. This can be a picture. This can be a statistic. It can be a little story. It can be several things. You can bring a prop. You can bring a book. Why not show a book at the beginning and say, I recently read this book. And then you say why this is relevant to this occasion, to this presentation, to that day, to the audience, to the project. That's an ideal way how to get their attention and not be so boring as so many people. Most presentations will start with something like, hello, as planned, I will talk about our project XYZ. Yeah, if this wasn't a business meeting, I would switch the channel,
yes.
pretending I'm watching TV or YouTube. Yes. Yeah, so it's not ideal. So think about that intro.
So grab the attention of the audience. This
yes.
is.
So we looked at how we can grab the audience's attention. That's the goal right at the start of your presentation.
Okay, so successful introduction, strong impression to start with. Now comes the main part where you present the project, where you provide the facts that should be on the basis of the decision of the project selection board. How do you structure this part and how do you make as effective as possible?
Okay, remind them what you are talking about. What's the project that you're talking about? Then make sure you share the key message. Something like, this project will be a success, or this project will increase our volume by 30%, or our clients will be super happy once we implement this feature of our product or service.
Right.
So these are just a sentence each. Yeah. So, okay, I'll talk about our customer retention program. I believe this retention program will be a great success. Yeah. Okay, just a sentence each. After which, mention why you are the right person to make this happen, to implement this project. You can also mention then, of course, your team members, why this team is particularly well qualified to go ahead and implement this. Maybe you want to also talk about the sponsor, depending on who the audience is. Yeah, the audience analysis also has an influence on what you will mention and what not. But this only now is the moment to mention who you are and why you are qualified. This is where people will be interested after you've said, yeah, this project will increase our customer retention by so many percent or whatever your estimate is. That's when it's interesting. Who's this guy? Who's this girl? Who's this woman? Who's this man who will make this happen? Again, this is a piece of establishing your credibility and your standing within the organization of being the right person to go forward with this project.
Yeah, people have to have confidence, in fact. So that's exactly the point. Yeah.
Yes, you want to exude confidence, and they want to feel that you will make this happen.
Yeah,
if you're in there and like, I've been picked for this project because they didn't have anybody else. That's not an ideal thing to say, to say the least. Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. That's terrible. Okay. So yeah, we need to get the feeling you're the right person. Now, if you, in your heart, don't feel very confident, then my recommendation is fake it until you make it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because maybe this is your first project and you're like, yeah, could be. And one will be your first project, and maybe you don't feel so confident about it, but try to at least look as if you were confident.
Yeah. You speak to the heart of my students who will start with managing the first project when they enter their professional career. Perfect.
Absolutely. And that's, again, where I want to come back to the point I made with the relationship to the sponsor.
Yeah.
The sponsor is the person that needs to support you. If the sponsor doesn't show up every 2 weeks, then there's something wrong. He forgot about you. Make sure the guy comes around at least every 2 weeks, ideally, of course, more often, let's say once a week. But if you don't see the guy for a month, not good. Yeah. Make sure the sponsor is there and he knows about the progress. And many times you will find obstacles. And many times it's the sponsor who will be able to get rid of those obstacles.
Exactly.
Because let's say you've got to talk to a different department. the department head, he's a little bit skeptical of your project. He feels, oh, yeah, this project is competing with my department. It will not be in my favor.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sponsor who needs to talk to the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and make sure that the path is cleared for you to be able to go forward.
Yeah.
After having then made sure that people know who you are,
mm-hmm.
then go ahead and say, why do you feel that this project will be a success? So coming back to your key message.
Yeah.
So you mentioned those points.
Mm-hmm.
You go through. You mention why this whole project is a benefit to organization.
Mm-hmm.
So what's in it for them? Yeah, so they might be making more volume, they might be making more money, they might acquire more customers, they might have a better standing in social media, they might have a better public relations department or whatever, whatever it is, the content of the project.
Right. Yeah.
That's the core of the presentation. That's where you will spend most time.
Okay. And present it from the perspective of the persons, the decision makers being present in that meeting.
Yes, make sure you present those things that interest them
mm-hmm.
and not what interests you. It's about the audience. It's not about you.
Right.
Now, many times it will be overlapping to a large part, yes, but think about them.
Yes, right. Okay, so you have established confidence, you have presented the facts, which takes place in this middle part of the presentation. And now you come to the end, and you need to make a strong and a lasting impression. How do you get that?
Good question. The ending, yeah, you've made a great first impression, and now you try to make a great last impression.
Yeah.
Now, you might have talked, let's say 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, depending on, again, the situation, the project, the interest of the audience, how detailed do they want to know about this project. And at that point, even after 5 minutes, trust me, they will have forgotten certain points that you've mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, because oral communication, it goes in through one ear and it comes out the other, sometimes immediately or faster. Sometimes it doesn't even go in. Yeah. So please, I recommend go ahead and give them a summary, a short summary of what you've just talked about.
Yeah.
So remind them, so here we go. We're at the end. Let me summarize what I just said. So first we looked at this, or this is the reason number one why I think, or reason number two, depending on what you will share, that I think this will be a success. And then this is another reason I said why this is a success. Therefore, and now that you finish this summary, go into a call to action.
Okay.
Most of the times you want them to do something now. Yeah, because it's not like, I've presented and now. Yeah.
In fact, they vote for your project, in fact.
In this particular situation, yes, exactly. You want them to do something. So take a decision, or please give me the budget. Please vote in favor of the 100,000 euros, dollars, dinars, or whatever currency you're thinking in. And let's do it. That will make sure that you move forward. In presentations and as a project manager, the goal is to move forward, to move forward to the next step.
Yeah.
And the project manager's number one responsibility, and you might want to write this down. If you only take away one thing out of these video series, it's this. You want them to take decisions. They have to take decisions. That's how you will be able to move forward. If nobody takes a decision, that might be because the sponsor never shows up. Remember from what I said earlier?
Exactly, yeah.
You need to have them take decisions. That's how you will be a successful project manager. And the call to action is one piece to get them to take the decision.
Exactly. And we will come back to that point when we talk about steering committee meetings. Excellent. Thanks a lot for giving this overview on the first project review session. Thanks a lot.
It's a pleasure.